How y'all doing? This is the Lights Off horror movie podcast, and I am Trevor with my co-hosts Harley, Liz, and Logan.
Hello. Also, don't forget Samus. Samus is here.
Samus. She's an important co-host.
Well. Sammy Pickles is here as well today, and we watched The House That Jack Built.
Yep. So, sorry about the late upload because we were supposed to be doing The Evil Dead, which we did record, just decided to not upload it. Just I didn't really like the way it went. But yeah, so now we're doing The House That Jack Built, which I think we all liked.
Yeah, Liz was, no, not Liz. Logan was actually absent on the previous podcast, and we just didn't have all of our energy there. It was a little goofy. Kind of felt forced, so.
Well, plus it's fucking Evil Dead, dude. Like, what can you say?
So iconic that there wasn't much to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched Evil Dead, just watch Evil Dead.
I mean, Bruce Campbell made an appearance in this movie, too.
Yeah. Matt Dillon, the actor for Jack, looks just like movie star Bruce Campbell. So.
Kinda.
And he talks like him, too, dude. I feel like Bruce Campbell could have done very well in this movie.
I'm Bruce Campbell. I'm here to kick some undead ass.
Well, this is it's a 2018 film by Lars von Trier.
Has Uma Thurman in it, and you see her boobies.
No.
You don't see Uma Thurman.
You don't see
Oh,
Uma
isn't it?
Thurman.
Oh, no, never mind. You're right.
So
you see some other girls' boobies.
So, I mean, I guess...
That's the chick that you see her boobies. She looks like Drew Barrymore, but I don't think it's her.
Kind of.
I just saw the blonde hair, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no. You get to see Uma Thurman take a hand jack to the face.
That's right.
Yeah, so I guess to summarize the plot a little bit, it's about a serial killer. Goes by Jack, and the first kill is Uma Thurman.
And you never get to see Uma Thurman's boobies.
Yeah. She's like broken down on the side of the road, and
Actually, that's a lie. You can.
it's kind of funny when he kills her too, because he's kind of coaxed into doing it, because she's kind of just egging him on and calling him a pussy.
She pretty much just gives him all the seeds to grow into a serial killer.
She's the one that turns Jack into a serial killer, I think.
She pretty much, he just took all of her bad advice. Like, wow, you really look like a serial killer with this van. Like, you could kidnap people, transport bodies and all. And then he just kind of took all of that advice and did it.
Yeah. So he has a red van that he drives, which I guess like red's an important symbol in the movie. I don't really know what it's symbolizing, but I think it's like every time he's doing a murder or something like that.
I don't know. Maybe blood gives him power?
I don't know. He has a red van that he drives around. And yeah, like Uma Thurman's basically just egging him on. She needs help, and he's like driving her to a repair shop to get this jack.
Sonny's.
Yeah, Sonny's repair shop so she can get her jack fixed that she's using to try to fix her car. And she's just being a bitch, pretty much. She's just like making fun of him.
Kill me?
Yeah.
No, just drive me to the repair shop. It's not that hard, is it?
Yeah.
And it's like, bitch, I have appointments.
I have appointments, and then she's like, "Oh, appointments for what?" And it's like, "Well, none of your goddamn business." I like the way
fair
he fucking
response.
talks. Like, yeah, that was a pretty fair response.
I mean, she did just ask to be killed, so she got what she deserved.
But she gets whacked in the face with her jack that's broken.
Which
in the
is
car.
definitely the most satisfying kill in the movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I felt that. Anybody would want to kill this woman.
But basically, the plot is like broken up into like 5 random.
So the intro to the movie is Jack talking about 5 incidents he has. I guess basically gets to the point of the movie, which is at the very end. But yeah, it's 5 incidents, like 5 murders, I guess.
Yeah, just 5 random encounters throughout his 12 years.
That are more important to him. He kills more people than 5 people, but these are like the important ones to him.
Yeah. The second one kind of just sums up how clumsy he was.
Yeah, the second one was pretty funny. The second one, it shows how he's like new to it, and it's his first time actually wanting to like really, really kill somebody and stalk him. Because like the first one, I think he did it just out of like instinct, or not instinct, just out of anger.
Yeah, he was just pushed to a point where he's like, "God damn it, I have appointments."
Yeah,
fucking flung the jack into her face.
The second kill also shows like how OCD this man is too.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kinda-
murders her and then just keeps envisioning blood behind things that wouldn't get blood on him.
Also, like throughout the movie, there's parts where it kind of stops, and he's kind of Jack is like narrating over the movie, and he's talking to this one guy he's calling Verge. You learn
Yeah.
at the end who Verge is, but he's like talking to Verge and explaining to him his murders and his reasoning behind it and whatnot. And Verge is kind of making fun of him for having OCD during the second murder.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny. He's like compulsive. He worries about leaving blood everywhere in this woman's house that he kills.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, he did stab her in the chest, and that would have projectile shot blood other places. I can get that, but not, like, to the extent
that
where it's going to
extent.
be underneath the floor mat and, like, behind the picture frame. And,
Yeah.
yeah, very compulsive.
I mean,
The
I
second
feel like-
one is kind of funny, though.
They did it justice in that too, to where like in other like slasher horror movies, they fucking stab him and the blood's just spewing everywhere. Now this was just like it was like little blood fountains.
Like a
Yeah.
drinking fountain.
And whenever the heart like pumped, you saw the blood like spew out a little bit.
That made it even more gross, I feel like.
My favorite part of the second incident too is like the part, like the very start of it, where he like is stalking this woman in his van, and he sees her going to his house, and he like walks up, and he doesn't really know what to say to her, so he just tells her that like he's a cop.
Just straight out of his ass.
Yeah, I'm a cop.
And
He
like,
was
wants to
talking
know-
out of his ass the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now
He's
I'm
like,
an
just kidding,
insurance
I'm an insurance agent.
Yeah.
And I could fucking, like, double your pension, because, he's, like, looking into her house and notices that her husband passed away and was a part of the force.
It's crazy how he just...
Yeah, he was a railroad worker. is what
Well,
he
no,
says.
that's what he tells to the cop. After the cop
No,
shows
I think
up.
he
No,
was a
no.
railroad.
That woman's husband was a railroad worker because he sees a picture of him working on the railroads.
Oh, fuck, no, you are right. You're right. Okay.
But it's crazy how lucky he just gets for that whole movie.
Aside from
Someone
farts,
that
going
shows-
back to the movie, what
Yeah,
were
we
you
got
saying?
fucking sidetracked. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it wasn't me saying anything.
You said something about the end.
Oh yeah, it was me saying something. The end of like the second murder, when like the cop shows up, he's like trying to help him investigate. He's just checking under everything, making sure there's no blood.
The cop tells him he's like asking people like what's going on because there's like a series of break-ins that's going on in this neighborhood,
Yeah.
and he tells him that he's like was friends with this woman's husband who was at the house, and he's like trying to get an issue of a magazine about railroads tracks
Called Tracks, yeah.
called Tracks that he's like trying to get from him, and
Sounds like the best magazine.
or
I've
he's
ever
trying to
heard
get
of.
from this woman that her husband used to have, and he's like, but I don't know where she is. She told me she'd be back, and so I just been waiting in my van for 2 hours, even though he hasn't. He just fucking strangled her and killed her, and then stabbed her.
And then hit her body in the bushes while the cop was in the fucking living room.
The
Just a
cops-
bunch of fucking anxiety.
Cop's definitely suspicious of this man too. He's like, oh,
Could you please just leave while I investigate?
I'm gonna use my rights as an American.
There is
Tell you that you need to search this room very impeccably.
there is kind of like a theme of where like Verge brings up to Jack how he's like he only really remembers the one with really stupid people. Because like all the murders, all 5 incidents that he talks about are with stupid
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
people.
Stupid women.
Yeah, stupid women especially. Which I guess Verge tells him about. He's like, maybe you just like feeling powerful over women.
Yeah.
And Jack's like, it's not that. Women are just like easier to manipulate.
Yeah, especially ones who let cops who turn into insurance men into their house.
Yeah. Yeah, that woman was pretty stupid to be fair.
And it was cool how the first death was super fast and the second one was like the slowest death I've ever seen.
He tried to strangle her, but didn't hold on to her neck long enough, so she woke up.
And you see him actually like have guilt as like a psychopath because he's just like, oh man, I didn't fucking do the job right. I didn't finish the job, and now she's suffering
You
even
like
though she should be
donuts?
dead.
You like donuts?
So he's like crying inside of himself as he's like trying to finish the job. That was like really weird to watch.
It's true. I like when he like So he doesn't kill her all the way when he first strangles her. She's like still alive a little bit.
Like brain
And then he
hemorrhaging and stuff.
So he feels bad about it, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then he like pours her a glass of water and puts a pillow under her head.
chamomile tea.
Yeah,
He says chamomile, but it doesn't look like tea. It looks like he puts like fucking pills in it.
yeah. It looks like he puts something in there, but he gives that to her, and she like drinks it,
It was
and then
dipping the donut in it.
yeah, and then he
Oh,
starts
is that-
strangling her
Yeah.
again after he gives her the
That
water.
makes sense. He's like, okay, this time.
Yeah,
And he's like, oh, that didn't do the job either. And then pulls out a knife.
and then he pulls out a knife and stabs her in the chest.
Yeah. He like looks for where her heart's gonna be. He's like, right between the nipples.
That was the lady from Men in Black whose husband turns into an alien.
I thought I saw her from
Yeah.
somewhere else.
On
Yeah.
the- on
You're
the
right,
land.
actually.
God damn, it was. But yeah, basically after, he fucking decides to leave the crime scene and actually get out of the house. He takes the dead lady who was in the bushes and straps her to the
Alright,
basically like straps her body to the God damn it, what is it?
He ties her sheet-wrapped body on a rope to the back of his van and drags her all the way
Yeah,
across town.
yeah.
Drags her body all the way to
That's
one of
after-
the key locations in the freaking show.
Yeah, like-
That's after the cop comes. So he has her body, and then like the cop shows up, and he has her body in the back of his van, and then he like shows up, and then the cop goes into the house to investigate, and he pulls the body out and throws it into the woods, like outside. And
He's just always improvising.
yeah, and then he goes back
in
into
that second one. Yeah.
he goes back in to like help the cop search for this woman, and starts like acting all fucking weird. He's just like getting mad at the cop to make him like frustrated with him so he can leave, because the cop told him to stay there originally.
Yeah.
Just stay outside of the
Well,
living room,
This
but
room
then he
needs
kept
to be
coming
searched
in. And,
thoroughly, impeccably.
yeah.
He went in there again with the cop to like finally satisfy his OCD stuff and like make sure, and then he fucking booked it out of there with her dead body.
Yeah. Well, he gets back in his van and he ties her body to like the end of his van with a rope. So the cop, because the cop's looking out the window at him and he sees him, so he doesn't want the cop to see him putting her body back into the trunk. So he just drives away with this woman body tied to the back of his. God damn it!
I'm sorry, bud. It's coming. That's from the soup.
Go fart
It's called soup butt.
for a few minutes and then come back.
Oh, we could still continue commentary. Just bleep out the farts, man.
Somebody's gonna know what happened. They're not bleeping out a swear word. What is that?
We gotta just let him happen and keep talking.
Well, so that's 2 farts.
But
per
yeah.
episode.
Basically, he
Have a
drives
foot counter.
all the way to his. He has a storage freezer with a bunch of pizzas in it that he purchased.
But yeah, it pulls out of that fucking house and then just drives with her body behind it, and it's just leaving a trail of blood.
'Cause her face is just grinding on the roads.
But then he talks about like a great protector over him, talking about the great rain, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the luck that he got out of that situation.
It's because he notices the trail of blood that he was leaving by dragging her
He's
body
like,
back.
oh fuck, I have to clean it all.
And he didn't know what to do about it. Then it just starts raining, so it washes away all the blood. And he's like, oh, well, I guess some fucking divine force wanted me to do this.
Yeah, some divine force wants me to be an artist. Is what he's. That's kind of how he twisted his worldview. Is that killing people is art?
Yeah, I also
That's
like
kind
how
of
he
his,
mentions like the divine like power helping him out in that situation, giving him a blessing.
And then, so I guess it plays like a few more montages after that scene where it's just showing Jack like killing more people. They're not part of the incidents, the 5 incidents that he has. They're just like showing that he's getting more experienced. And he's telling Verge about how he got better at strangling people with experience, so he knew how long to do it now.
He all checked on his watch, like, okay.
Yeah, like instead of like the blessings, he started getting more like disparages. I don't know the right word to go with that.
Like
but
obstacles.
yeah, so he realized, oh, I am doing God's work, but then now it's like the divine power is trying to step in the way from him doing God's work.
But even with the obstacles, he started like saying that his OCD was diminishing, and he started not giving as much of a fuck. Anyways, it's like these obstacles. It's clearly just.
He talks about it being
doing
a
it wrong.
relief that his OCD diminishes because he's worrying less and less about like blood and things like that, and he's starting to take greater chances with each murder that he does.
Yeah.
Pretty much, that's when he starts coming up with his alter ego, Mr. Sophistication.
Yeah, that's like what people start calling him, I guess.
Like carrying bodies back from the freezer up the stairs while you see people in their apartments, and he's like trying to set up for like a photography scene with like 3 different dead bodies.
And I think after this murder was when it shows him as like a little boy sitting and watching like harvesters using their scythes to like cut stuff down, and then he starts playing in the pond. Or I guess he's talking about how, or to Verge, about how the only love he's ever had is the inhales and exhales of the scythe workers. Because they were walking in unison doing their motions.
Yeah, it's because like his whole argument with Verge throughout this movie is the fact that he's trying to tell Verge basically that his form of art he believes is through the process of like death and decay, whereas Verge is telling him he thinks art cannot exist without love.
Yeah.
And they're just totally like not seeing each other's sides on like the whole narrative, which is really fun.
Yeah, which is where they like fundamentally disagree, goes back to like what Logan was talking about when he talks about that pleasant memory he has watching these like people from the village like using their scythes to harvest whatever it is.
They're just cutting the tall grass in unison.
Yeah, when he was a little boy watching
in the meadows,
and he like catches a little duckling in a net out of a pond, and he like picks it up and he
clips its foot off.
Yeah, he cuts its foot off, then throws it back in the water to watch it struggle to swim.
Yeah, I mean they could have left that out. They didn't have to hurt an animal.
But do you think?
I don't think they actually hurt an animal for
it's
that.
probably
Well,
like
no.
animatronics.
I know they didn't hurt an animal. That's against the law. It would have been.
It is kind of a disturbing scene though.
Yeah, it's like they could have left it out. We already know he's a psychopath.
But do you think he thought he was helping the duck? Because he saw them
Probably
helping the
not.
grass.
No,
and
he
he's
just
like,
wanted
"Oh."
to do art.
I think it was
he just wanted to do art and see that thing suffer.
I think it was just sheer morbid curiosity, to be honest. I don't even think it was art. I think as a little boy, he probably didn't understand fully like what he liked out of art. He just liked seeing things suffer and things like that.
One part of this, though, I can't actually remember where it was at during these little mini commentaries between the incidents, but when Verge is talking to Jack about how when he was a little boy and he's running through the reeds, the tall grasses and the fields, and like playing hide and seek.
At the same part.
Yeah, he's basically talking about how he's been the same way his whole life, like, you know, leaving the reeds tipped over, so if there's someone, you know, that followed his trail, they'll know exactly where he is, and he's just laying in the reeds,
Well, he talks
waiting to be caught.
He talks about like playing tag with the other kids, and he says like he didn't prefer being the one chasing people. He preferred the one being chased after.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because, yeah, I mean, he's definitely stalking and killing people, but ultimately he just wants to be
Caught. He wants to get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's what Verge tells him too. He's just like, are you saying like the thing you liked most is that you like it when people are catching on to you? You know.
I think he's just testing it because he said how he was amazed that the rain washed away the blood.
I think the whole reason for his kills and everything he does throughout the movie is for the sake of art. Yeah, and also for the purposes of where him and Verge disagree on what art is.
He's very, very knowledgeable about the way that, you know, there's different ways to turn grapes into wine. When he's talking about the mold spores, the frost for harvesting the grapes, and then
he talks about
you just leave them on there and they basically turn to raisins.
Yeah, he talks about the 3 ways people make dessert wines and how they get sweetness. basically.
Just like skyrocket their sugar rating because of certain circumstances, and how that rot produces a beautiful
Product.
but it's through like.
But I
don't
think
know,
that's like
just
his
gross
way of
suffering.
I mean,
kind of analogy of like how he's like morphing the bodies and leaving them to freeze in rigor mortis, so that he could kind of position them how he wants.
He can make the sugary wine.
Yeah,
He can
because
do what
he finds
wants.
more satisfaction when the bodies are shaped to his vision.
Mm-hmm.
and also throughout the movie too, because his main job, I guess it doesn't really show it, but he talks about it, is Jack's an engineer, and
Yes,
but he looks up to architects and has always wanted to be an architect.
He's an engineer, but he views himself as an architect.
Yeah. So, well, he gets to a point in his life where he has like a lot of money and free time, and so like his goal now is to like build a house, which is something he's always looked forward to because he wants to be an architect. And he just the thing is it shows him starting a house like a couple times throughout the movie and then demolishing it because he can't decide what material to build it out of. He starts with like brick at first, and then he moves to wood.
maybe this whole story is like a big analogy for Minecraft.
Jack is just Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's trying to build a house, but he starts building it, and he's like, never mind, I don't want this material anymore. So
You know,
he builds it with a different one.
I'm
just
curious.
like Minecraft.
I'm curious though. Like, where does your opinion lie on it? Do you agree with Verge or do you agree with Jack? Like, do you think there is art in decay and death, or do you agree with Verge in that all art has to have love involved?
I think it's a pretty large spectrum there, because
It
I don't know.
depends.
You look at me and Liz, for example.
I mean,
She makes art just because she makes art, but I make art when it comes from a deep-seated place of misery.
I feel like it depends on the artist.
It
I
just
think-
doesn't matter.
but that still comes from like a place of love, right? Because Liz loves making art.
I think that they're both right, but I think Jack missed out on some things due to his absence of love or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it just
Well, that's also what I'm
was
saying.
an
Like,
orphan.
it's hard
shit.
to agree with Jack in the sense that like
I guess
the way he views it through the eyes of like a serial killer is that the only way he's ever going to view art is through death and decay.
I feel like
He's not going to view it with love.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
art is more an interpretation of emotion rather than just love.
Yeah.
Because you don't need love to paint a painting,
No, you don't.
but it stems from an emotion.
It's true.
So, and
But
Jack
also-
is here trying to figure out his emotions.
There comes the argument of like, what is art without the human race at all in the first place?
Well, I guess
Because
that would
art,
just
art
be
to us
life.
is what we've created as humans, or what we view around the world. Does
You
art
can-
exist without our existence?
I feel
I
like
mean-
you can view life as art,
That's true.
and life doesn't
Like
necessarily
all
involve
of-
love.
Like the solar system, the universe, that's all art. I think art is an explosion, as Datara would say.
Because you look at this like rock, right, and then you like cut it in half and see all the layers. You can view that as like, oh, that's beautiful art.
But you killed that rock!
I mean, there is a theory saying that all rocks are squishy until you give like a friction to them.
I don't not believe it.
Well, we don't want to fucking
It's like
bend these
Oobleck.
people's minds, okay?
It's like oobleck. No, they need to know.
I think if Jack,
Black is cool.
I think if Jack would have seen the AI art we were looking at tonight, he would have just
Oh,
shot
God.
himself.
Oh,
Speaking
God.
of which, the new like Twitter header and profile picture, that is AI art all the way.
But no, AI couldn't recreate Jack's art because AI hasn't killed people
Yeah.
the way Jack has
Yet.
yet. I mean, it could. It could. There's evil people that can make that AI that do that, but
What
it
about
couldn't
Chappie?
recreate Jack's art.
What about Chappie?
What about
Chappie
Chappie?
is the internet.
Chappie.
Chappie's a robot.
Yeah, but he's like a fifth dimensional being that knows everything.
Well, we're not talking about
And anyway,
Chappie.
sorry, we got
Dude, Diane Bird's in that movie.
Yeah, that's like the worst part of that movie.
Yeah,
to be
and they're
honest.
like terrible people.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Ninja.
Oh God. Honestly, I hate his raps. I
Hey,
really do.
I like Diane work.
Ah,
And
I'm
the
glad
girl.
you do.
Oh What did Diane Antwoord do? I need to know now.
They're
There's
involved
sex
with
trafficking.
Like,
and-
sex trafficking and a lot of like criminal activities, but notably sex trafficking. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the internet tells me, and that's what I'm relaying. So don't sue me, Diane Word.
Well, anyway, I guess to go on to the third incident now.
The family.
Yeah, Jack gets a family of his own in a way.
This is my
Oh,
favorite.
Jack's a loving man. Jack loves his family.
Jack gets his very own family now. Not really. I mean, that's the way he tells it to Verge.
I mean,
Has,
it
like,
is
his-
his family.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
it's his
his
family.
family. It was a new project based on the idea of family.
No, man, it's his
Yeah.
family.
No, that's what he said. Is it was a project based on the idea of family.
So he talks about hunting a lot with this family because the whole thing is that he meets this like woman and her 2 kids, and it's shown that it's like been a few years. He has like facial hair now, and he's been with this woman and her kids. He's like a father figure, and so he's taking the whole family out hunting, and to go on like a picnic.
So maybe
Teaching
she
them-
isn't.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sorry.
I was gonna say maybe she isn't as dumb as like I thought at first, because I just kind of assumed that Jack was like new into her life, so they went out hunting.
I don't.
And that's a
Well, it
terrible
doesn't really
idea.
imply how long they've known each other. I'm just assuming
Oh.
that it's long enough for this woman to trust him around her kids.
It could have been his kids too. You never know. Like he might have just.
I don't think it was
So it
his
could have been
kids.
years.
Because he talks about her being the mother to the kids, so I don't think it was his kids.
But it was
If that
in
was
the
his
span
kid,
of
he
a
would've said
12-year like killing career. He could have like met someone in the middle of that, and then those boys are like.
He doesn't even
Not
refer
that
to the
old.
kids by their names, though. He just refers to one of them really by
He's grumpy.
as Grumpy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, grumpy. Yeah.
I don't know. One part of this that I liked quite a bit, he goes over hunting ethics, like so much. He's like talking about how, if
So he's not taking these kids hunting. He's taking them to shoot a gun at a target.
at
Yeah,
a shooting
like a hunting
range,
To teach them proper gun safety.
and he's telling them, you never ever kill the fawn first. You would shoot at the baby deers.
No,
Well, he
you
tells-
shoot at
he
the
tells-
fawn first. Then
He tells
shoot at the mother.
Verge
Fawn
the
is
process. Of
Oh
like-
yeah, no. Yeah, he's saying don't shoot at the baby deers first. Kill the mom. Wait, no.
The other way.
Fucking kill
Other
the
way around.
baby deers, because if you kill the mom, then the baby deers
Yeah.
die anyways. Yeah, he has ethics about this.
He's a gentleman.
But
He's
he's
a
telling
gentleman.
that to Verge, not the kids.
Yeah.
He's telling that to Verge, like the process of how he believes like hunting works and like the ethics around it. Yeah, he's saying like you don't shoot the mother first because
Oh, he was saying that to the kids too. He wasn't even talking to Verge at that moment.
Yeah, he was saying it to the kids. Because he was.
He was like
He said that
taunting
he-
that one kid. He's like, "Oh, do you ever bring down any big game?" And he's like, "I find hunting repulsive." But then he proceeds to tell him all these like hunting ethics.
No, he was just telling the kids about all the fucked up ways that hunting.
yeah,
is
he was
fucked
not
up.
telling the kids about that whole process with the deer. That was to Verge. That was a conversation with Verge.
Yeah, then he was
Are you
telling-
sure? Oh yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I feel like he mentioned something about it to the kids, though.
Well,
Not. I don't
Because
think.
I remember seeing the little boy when he was holding the gun. Like, showing him, and he was, like, talking about shooting the baby deers.
That's the transitional scene when you see him up in the tower and they're running from him.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
we should say, so yeah, he takes this kid up into the tower for him to shoot the gun. And then it cuts to that conversation with him talking to Verge. And it cuts back to this family running from him and hiding. And fucking Jack's up into this tower, like, looking for them, like they're prey. Like they're deer.
yeah, at first I thought the little, like...
And I guess I should say, before we go any further, there is depictions of children dying and getting shot in this movie.
I mean, you can't really see it, though.
Yeah.
You just see one of the boys.
Oh, you do see it in... I don't know if this is the censored
You
version.
do see a dead kid though.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't see him dying, you do see him like.
Well, yeah, you definitely see dead, two dead kids.
You see Grumpy as Smiley.
But you don't really see them die, per se. But you know they die, because it shows you. It's just not like the mom. You know?
Oh, and the
you
picnic
see
scene.
them die.
You
don't
get to see
them
the
die 'cause
mom.
it cuts off.
You
before
get to
they
see
die.
the mom feed apple pie to her dead son.
I don't
Okay.
think you're legally allowed to show kids dying in movies. Like that.
Anyway, it gets to the
Speed
scene where
burger.
they're hiding, because we're jumping a lot now.
You might.
But
too.
they're hiding, and then one of the kids runs out because he's scared. And so Jack sees it as an opportunity
Jack
to get the
snipes
mom
him.
out, so he just shoots this kid point blank. And then the mom starts crying and running after him.
And they
And
keep
he
their
sees the
red
other
hats
kid
on.
behind her stand up, and so he kills him. And
Headshot.
yeah. And then it cuts to the picnic scene where Jack's like,
Give
Like,
Grumpy some of your pie.
set up this picnic for the mom, and she's like all traumatized and crying, just like sitting there, and Jack's fucking acting like her 2 sons are still alive, and he's like, why don't you give Grumpy some pie? I never got pie when I was a kid.
Never had enough pie.
Oh, there was Grumpy and
Never
Georgie.
had enough.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Georgie. was
Georgie.
the one.
There's always a little boy named Georgie in every
Yeah.
horror movie.
It's fair.
And
dies.
Yeah, he does die.
Oh, dude, that's where you and I differ, Georgie. He's like, yeah. Sorry, I was just going back to that previous scene. I thought
I
that
want to
was
kill
funny.
big animals. Oh,
I want to kill big animals. That's where you and I differ.
Yeah. It's also good to note that Jack, although he is very smart, tends to think of himself through the lens of like a psychopath. Like he thinks he's very intelligent. He's very egotistical. Just like typical psychopathic.
Very
kind of.
superior
Yeah.
to his peers.
That's more shown in a later incident too.
yeah.
But yeah, at the picnic scene, he's like telling this mom to feed her fucking kid pie, and then he asks her like, "What's your favorite number?" And she says 12, and he's like, "That's a fantastic number."
Great choice.
So he starts climbing up the ladder and
counting.
counting. He's just like 1, 2. And then I think
The mom's like, what?
I think the mom realizes he's counting down how long
At
it'll
like
be
number
until he
5
shoots her.
or 6, and she starts, oh fuck, I gotta go.
Something I thought of at that part was, what if she just ran up to him and was like, "Shoot me!" Because no animal would do that. Like, would that throw off his weird little?
Probably. He'd be like, oh, that's not part of the plan.
Like, what would happen?
Yeah.
You ruined my art.
I don't know.
No, I mean, I think that would like turn Jack on to the point where he's like, oh my god, this is interactive art. My art
It's-
is talking back to me.
It's always interactive art for him, though.
It is fair. But I mean, he does get the interactive art later.
Well, anyway, he shoots the mom, and then he, because earlier in the hunting scene, he talks about this process called, it's like Schweiss.
Yeah, the
Schweiss.
Schweiss dog. They
Yeah,
run
Schweiss
after the
dog.
blood trail.
Yeah, looking for the blood trail, and
Schweiss.
so he finds this because he's like looking where this woman was because he knows he didn't kill her the first time he shot her. And so he sees blood, and then it says Schweiss, like in text, and then he finds her and kills her.
And that
I've seen
Schweiss
that.
thing, it goes
Yeah.
back to a lot of other conversations that Jack and Verge are having about icons, like about how like Jericho's trumpet, like the sirens. On
That's
the-
later. That's later in the movie. That's
Oh.
around the girl he has the romance with.
Yeah, so that's the 4th.
Yeah.
Well, that's the 3rd leading into the 4th, so I think it's around about that time. Because the Schweiss is definitely one of the icons.
It was like during that whole scene though.
Yeah.
But I guess after that, is there really anything you
Pops her
remember?
in the back.
Yeah.
It's cool. You get to see it all. And she's like, ooh.
He also keeps all the bodies that he kills.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
He
Puts
puts
them
them
in
in a freezer that he purchased from like this old man.
A pizza place.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the shitty pizzas.
It's like a walk-in freezer.
Yeah, he ate one of the pizzas and said it was the shittiest pizza he's ever ate.
Yeah.
And that's when he turns a little grumpy into a little smiley.
Yeah, little Joker.
By using like metal and like,
He says he learned how to like play around with rigor mortis in the sense that if the bodies were still fresh, he could like tape their arms and legs in certain positions to make them look a certain way, and then rigor
Yeah.
mortis would set in, and so they would just be stuck like that.
they'd be a credible human being.
He could manipulate them like art, because it's his art.
But yeah, that's where he goes off and starts talking about freaking the icons, like how. Oh man, I like this part when Verge is talking about how the devil reads the Bible like Jack reads. Gosh, not David, but the one freaking book about the lion and the sheep.
Lion and the Lamb.
Lion and the Lamb, yeah, and he's talking about how, lion is savagery and the lamb is innocent, and both are equally perfect, but it wants
The art
this
itself.
society wants you to deny the lion inside yourself.
Well, he talks about how
And then he turns
Alpha
into an
Chad.
incel.
he talks about how the art itself is I guess the relationship between the lion and the lamb. It's not either one of them alone.
Yeah.
And how he feels like modern society represses the savagery in people, which represses art. But then again, that just goes back to the discussion of like Verge's definition of art and Jack's.
Two
definition.
totally different things.
Yeah.
He's talking about how during like the internment camps in World War II, one of the dudes living in the internment camps would always go down to this oak tree and write poems and shit under that tree. That's his idea. That's his idea of an icon. It's like in the biggest, most miserable place, you can write the beautiful, most like
That's not true.
wholesome poetry.
That's not true. So Verge brings up, it's Jack who first brings up a concentration camp because it's showing imagery of Hitler and
Concentration camp.
the Holocaust and whatnot. And Jack brings up a concentration he's talking about how the icons he views are people like Hitler or Mao Zedong, because it shows pictures of them too, like these horrible
Joseph
people.
Stalin.
Yeah, and he says like they're icons because they were like the most savage in the way that society deems as wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's his definition of art, because he feels like he's the same as those people. And Virgil explains to him, he's like, well, the reason why I think you need love for art is he uses the same concentration camp that he brings up. And he talks about the oak tree that was in the middle of this concentration camp. And he's like, it was the birthplace in the Bible where, I guess, like life was started, sort of. Or something like that.
Something like that. I can't remember.
Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit.
I don't know. I'd have to...
Devil lured
yeah.
them in.
There's a lot of depictions of like art and music and things like in this movie that I'm just not gonna be able to remember.
He goes back to his favorite icon, the dude that's playing the piano. He's like, dun, 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 dun.
Dude, they
It's
played
like-
that so many times.
I love that scene though. I think it's very good at driving home a certain topic that he's trying to talk about.
I feel like they should have used different scenes though, instead of using the same like songs and video. Yeah, especially that song, man. That song shut up. But literally every time he killed somebody.
It was the same, like, repeating OCD artist. Like,
Yeah. It's like
But
every time they play that music too, it shows the scene of him running through the reeds as a little kid.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to show it every single time because, you know, that just implies that the director thought that we forgot.
I think he did it for a very deliberate reason.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably more of a reason.
I don't
But
think
it's
he thought it's because people forgot.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Trying to help us connect all the plot ideas together by providing symbolism after imagery.
Now we move on to the fourth incident, which is where
You see boobs.
yeah.
You finally see tit.
Yeah.
Verge talks to
Multiple
Jack,
tits.
and he's just like, so through all this, the way you view like art and relationships, he's like, have you never experienced romance? And he's like, well, I had my own kind of romance.
Yeah. Said he had like
Is
feelings too hard for someone that.
This
you know,
is the fourth incident, am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
A psychopath can't have feelings this hard, but he was having it for this girl, Jacqueline,
Yeah, Jack.
Simple.
who he calls simple. Yeah.
Because she has a simple brain.
So it shows like immediately goes into like why he calls it like a romantic relationship, because he like goes to this girl's apartment and it's implied that they've been together for like some time now, and like when he walks in, she doesn't want to talk to him and she's all upset, and so it gets all romantic, and then he like fucking hands her like a phone and he goes into the other room with another phone and like calls her and talks to her. He's like, well, if you don't want to look at me, can we talk like this, you know, just all romantic and cute. And it just goes right into like the next scene where he's just like, it's shown why she doesn't like him, because he's just really being manipulative. He's like upset because you can tell that Jack likes this woman and he has like feelings towards her and he wants to get romantically involved with her, but he also hates her because he views her as like stupid.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't view art and doesn't get the same concepts he does. He brings up, like, what's the difference between, like, an architect and an engineer? And
She's like, they both build houses?
They both draw houses, and then
he's
you
like,
think that's a difference?
and he's like, well, what's the difference between a lion and a tiger? And she's like, well, one has stripes.
One lives in Africa.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
she
said
says tigers
are
lived in Africa.
Yeah.
Which that one's wrong. Tigers are like Asian. And
See,
he's
I
like,
don't know. I'm
you
not up to
idiot.
Jack's level of intelligence.
Yeah, he calls her, like, dumb as a doorknob. He calls her simple. Just fucking insults her so many times.
Then talks her into grabbing a magic marker.
So, I mean, it's no surprise he does kill this woman. But I do like the scene because it shows that, like, he's a psychopath, but he still has some feelings. Because I think he wants to, like, get romantically involved with her. Because I think it's more just based off her appearance, because she's an attractive woman. And he tells her during, like, when he's insulting her, he's like, but you got nice tits, though.
Like, why do you gotta be so crude, though? And he's
Yeah.
like, is that being crude? Like,
Yeah.
it's just complimenting your tits.
And it gets to this weird-ass scene where he's just like,
It's
he's
being
like,
very
can you
crude.
go grab me a red or a black marker? So she does and hands it to him. And he just, like, fucking rips open her shirt and her tits are out. And then he starts, like, creating an outline around her tits.
Yeah.
With the
Dotted
red-
line.
Yeah, dotted line with the red marker.
She's like, you're fucking weird.
And she gets upset and she's like, you're fucking weird. Closes her shirt and runs out. Now she's creeped out and she sees a cop out there. And she's like,
Hey, he's told me he's murdered 60
yeah,
people.
he's turned me.
And
Because,
maybe 61.
yeah. Well, because during that whole thing when he's insulting her too, she's like, did you really murder 60 people? And he's like, it's more like 61. He's like, but you told me 60 last time. She's not realizing that he's probably going to kill her. That's why
Yeah.
he's saying 61. But yeah, then she runs out to the cop. She's like, he told me he murdered 60 people. The cop, being a cop, is just like,
Have you been
drinking?
drinking?
She's like, well, yeah.
That cop is dumb as a fucking
Yeah.
doorknob.
I mean, if some lady who's freaking out came and ran up to me and was like, oh, he told me he murdered 60 people while I know that there's a serial killer on the loose. I'm like, oh, shit, we should probably check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man.
he's like, no, get the fuck away from my car and take your stupid friend upstairs.
Collect
Well,
your shit. and
Jack
sober
runs
up.
out too, and I thought it was funny because he runs out and he's just like, you know what? That woman's right. I have murdered 60 people.
Oh, and we should also explain that he's been using a crutch around this woman.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he runs downstairs, he's no longer using his crutch.
And it makes her pity him. And
Yeah, it
feel
makes her
bad.
gain
And
sympathy.
so he can manipulate.
You can
her
see like
further.
the like manipulation process where it's like a honeymoon phase where he like romances her and then he's like abusing her and then he romances her and then he's abusing her.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just all hard to watch.
Yeah, it's very very fucking real to like real situations. It is really hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking sad, but yeah, I did think it was funny when he ran out and he tells the cop, he's like, "She's right, I did murder 60 people, but the worst thing I've done is break this woman's heart."
Then he leans over and starts crying.
Yeah,
And she's like, it's okay, let's go upstairs.
All I want to do is make things right.
yeah.
And then the cop's like, get your friend upstairs and get out of my face.
So they go back upstairs, and then Jack's like sleeping on the couch, or at least acting like he's sleeping. And then she's like, "Do you need some pills? I got a friend who's got some good pills." So she like tries to call up her friend, but then she realizes the phone line is cut. And
She like sneaks towards the door.
yeah, she thinks Jack did it, and she's like, "Oh fuck!" So she tries to sneak towards the door, and then he's like right behind her.
She's trying to leave, but it's a door that you have to have your keys in it to leave.
Which is a terrible design.
Terrible design, and Jack has her keys, so she can't leave.
It sounds like a fire hazard and a half.
Yeah.
And so she just like turns around. She's like, "You're Mr. Sophistication, aren't you?" And he's like,
Yeah.
He's like, you should scream.
If you feel the need to scream, I definitely would.
Yeah.
I definitely think you
And then
should.
he like joins in with her.
Yeah, she's screaming.
Help!
That was cool.
Even like runs to the window when she goes over there and is like screaming out. And he starts screaming too. And he's like,
Nobody
I didn't see one light come on.
fucked up world. Nobody in this fucked up town
Wants to
wants
help.
to help. Yeah.
Mr. Sophistication's here. Oh no! Just screaming, man.
Like, nobody's running downstairs to help. Not one light turned on.
Yeah, so then he
Chokes.
gags her mouth, like
Gags her,
ties a rope
actually.
around her, and like
Grabs 3 knives.
tells her to pick one.
Yeah.
And he's like,
just sitting there holding her head, like shaking her head for her.
yeah.
And he's like, you know what really pisses me off? It's always the man's fault.
Oh yeah, and then he goes on a whole
Incel.
incel rant about like, yeah, he's like, you know, when you're a male, you're just born guilty.
I do gotta say, during this part, I did call Harley an incel, and then he threw his phone at me.
I didn't mean to throw my phone at him.
Sure.
It's just,
That's what
this
incels
man's
would
trying
say.
to accuse me of stuff here.
I don't know, man. Harley might be an incel.
I'm gonna cut your brakes.
What breaks?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't drive.
Yeah.
You'd have to cut my brakes, and then I'd die.
But no, I'm trying to kill him, not you.
Oh. Hey, man, I appreciate that.
I'm like trying to kill somebody else, and you're like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. You should kill me. Wow, way to steal the spotlight.
Yeah.
I thought it was my turn to die.
It's like if Jack's killing somebody else, and then a random woman just pops up, like, hey, what about me?
Hey, I haven't taken a fucking jack to the face yet. Could you help me out?
I want one.
So yeah, anyway, he like kills this woman and cuts off her tits. That's really why he made the outline on her tits.
He puts one on the cop's like windshield.
Yeah, because
Yeah, in the windshield wiper.
wanted
Go
her fucking cut off breast.
He takes the other one and turns it into a wallet.
Yeah, he calls it an icon, his own icon, like one of her fucking boobs. He turns into like a fucking wallet.
Keepsake.
With a little snap and everything.
Was this before or after he hit the girl with the car?
Oh,
Oh.
that was during the third incident.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
it wasn't an
after-
incident itself. It just shows this scene where he is so obsessed with killing now that he just sees a woman that's on the side of the road and drives past, and he turns around just to hit her with his car.
Yeah, and then takes her back to the third girl. Or
It was in between the third and the fourth incident when he was diminishing his OCD. And that's when he's doing like the photography with like the 3 bodies.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Was
Just-
it or was it after this one?
it was in between the third and the fourth. It
I'm
was
trying to
it was-
remember because he was at an apartment.
Yeah.
You know that.
It was after he had killed the kids and his
Yeah.
wife and shit.
That's
Or
also when it
girlfriend.
shows he has like a fascination with like putting the bodies in certain positions and taking pictures of them
Yeah.
because he likes putting them in humorous ways, as he says, like humorous
Yeah.
poses.
This
Said
had to have
that
been before
the
that
old
because
lady.
Then he
provided.
left some of the photos at the apartment with like Mr. Sophistication on them so that they knew he was there. Because then they ended up showing up on like the newspapers.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then that's when he got deemed like Mr. Sophistication. So yeah, it definitely was before that.
Yeah.
See?
It just shows like through the progression of it, he's getting more and more careless with the killing.
Yeah. He wants to be caught.
But it's because it makes him feel better to be more careless about it,
Yeah.
I guess, because it's diminishing his OCD and it's also, I guess, expressing his art more.
And then the next incident is the fucking like torture trap thing that he was doing.
Was-
Where he was collecting people and putting them on the like
Oh,
horse
yeah.
hitch.
What happens between the woman and then that?
I think it's just Virgin him talking about icons.
Wait, what?
Right.
Say that again. What word?
Like what scene is happening between the fifth and then the one we just talked about? Is that when they start talking about icons, him and Verge?
I think so.
Oh yeah, because he's talking about how that's when it leads into his mass like genocide speech about like Hitler and Stalin and all this stuff, and he tries to conduct his own little research experiment, killing 6 people with the
One bullet.
one bullet.
Like how the Nazis used to do back in World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he kidnaps a bunch of people and puts their ties them up and then puts their heads on like this. It's like a bike rack.
Yeah, it's
It's
basically
like a bike rack
rack.
or like a horse hitch.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
And he puts their heads on there so they're all like lined up right by each other.
Yeah.
And he has like a sniper rifle or like a hunting gun. It's the same one he used to kill that family.
Yeah, a hunting rifle.
Hunting rifle, yeah. And he has it like lined up like right in front of him, and his experiment is that he wants to use one bullet to kill all the people. And he's talking about how like the Nazis used that during the Holocaust.
Yeah,
They
because
experimented
they
with
were
ways to kill multiple people at once. using
running
one
out of
bullet.
ammo.
Yeah.
So
But
they had to
turns
find
out he
different
didn't
ways.
have a Full Metal Jacket round, so he has to go
Yeah.
back to the
Yeah, he went
ammunition.
So he went to
is
a
it-
gun store to buy ammo. And
I
the
don't
guy-
think it was a gun store. I think it was like some
it was like a
back
hunting,
shoddy black market.
I think it was like a hunting.
Yeah, it looked like a hunting store.
Oh, was
like
it?
There were
it was like a
guns and
hunting
munitions.
group store.
I kind of assumed that it was like a black market store because it looked like an office.
I want to think it was black market because the guy in it.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, he tries to
way,
buy
yeah.
Full Metal Jacket ammo from him, and then he goes back to like do the experiment. And one of the guys that's tied up, I guess he's like an ex-veteran, or like a veteran, not
Yeah.
ex-veteran.
Ex-Marine.
Yeah,
Ex-veteran.
but he shows him the bullet that he's going to use and explains the experiment, and then the Marine guy is just like, "Sir, that's not a Full Metal Jacket bullet."
Yeah, that's just a normal hunting.
He's like,
round,
these
sir."
fucking
Why-
rounds are mislabeled.
He's like,
All
"You're
these are
fucking
not
right."
Full Metal Jackets.
Why did that guy point that out though?
Because it would only kill him. It wouldn't kill the other 5 dudes behind him. He's
Well,
like,
he was
man,
also
I'm in
probably-
this. You guys are in this with me.
He's also probably trying to buy some time to like figure out a way out of there.
I don't think
Yeah.
those people died,
Which is
dude.
natural.
No, they
didn't.
didn't.
But yeah, you find out at the end of the film, I guess, which we're getting there.
Yeah.
So he goes back to that same store to try to actually buy Full Metal Jacket ammo, and he's pissed off at the guy who sold it to him because he's just like, "You didn't sell me fucking Full Metal Jacket." And so he's just scaring the shit out of this guy, and he's just like, "Well, I can't sell you Full Metal Jacket ammo unless you show me some ID or whatnot."
Or like a receipt.
Yeah.
Also, if you watch this movie around this time, I can't remember if it was before or after what we're talking about, but there's like this scene where the camera's just spinning around, and it's like all blurry, and it's like really motion sickness.
In
I
the
think
freezer.
it's while he's
Yeah, it's in
going
the
to
freezer.
the like RV house, the trailer.
Yeah, so that's
It's
right
like
after this.
showing-
So he gets fed up with the guy at the this hunting store, and so he leaves, and then he drives over to this trailer, and there's this old man in there that I guess he knows, who I guess it's implied that he's like either a hunting friend or another serial killer. I don't know exactly who he is yet. He refers to him as SP. He's like this old, like 67-year-old dude who's wearing a red hood.
It's kind of like a Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Mark Hamill, but it kind of looks like him.
Yeah. But he walks in there, and as soon as he walks in, like this old guy SP is pointing a gun at Jack. And he's telling him, he's just like, "It's up, Jack. That guy at the gun store, he's called the cops. He told him about what you did.
About your robbery.
Yeah, he's like, they're on their way here to come get you."
He's
Yeah.
like, what robbery? I don't do robberies. He's like, oh, that robbery.
And then the reason why I say he's either another serial killer or just a hunting buddy is because, like, so Jack, in order to, like, manipulate this guy, like, sits down and he's just like, it's hard to say this, but you're, like, my only best friend I've had. And he's just like, "You remember that 5-point that I tracked for weeks for you that you shot?" And I don't know if he's talking about actual, like, deer or just people. This is why I
I
don't.
don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Jack said he used to hunt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's talking about deer.
Okay.
It's probably just a hunting buddy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't know. It could be another murder.
So he basically just manipulates this old guy into, like, lowering his gun, and he's like, "You know what? You're right, and you never lied to me before."
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
And so, like, he goes in to give him a hug, and Jack fucking grabs a knife off the table and just
Or it's he goes to pour shots, and then when he's bringing the shot back
Yeah.
to him, he hops up and just
stabs him.
Yeah.
Jack stabs him in the throat, kills him.
Waits for the cops to show up, and he
And-
has the
yeah.
red hood on.
He
pretending
grabs-
to be SP.
And I
Shoots the
assume
shit
the
out of the
reason
cop.
he went to this old guy's place too is because he has Full Metal Jacket ammo in his, like, closet.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Okay, yeah, he's probably a hunter, so that's why he had all that ammo.
Yeah, that's the only reason why Jack would do that.
But also, what kind of hunter needs Full Metal Jacket?
Fuck, dude, if you're trying to blow the shit out of a fucking deer, just blow it to smithereens. Like,
Well, it's not an explosive round. It's just a super sturdy round because it's covered in another shell of like metal. which is why it's a Full Metal Jacket.
If you want it to go through 3 deers, I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know.
Well, anyway,
That guy was an old gun guy, okay?
Jack gets the Full Metal Jacket
A
ammo,
real
and then
American.
a cop shows up at the trailer, and he walks in, and he sees somebody wearing a red hood standing over the body of somebody else, and the cops assume that it's SP, like the old guy that called the cops on
It's
Jack.
like, oh, you got him.
He's like, "Nice job, SP, you got him." And then Jack just turns around with a gun and kills the cop.
Shoots him fucking 6
Mag
times.
dumps on him, dude.
Yeah.
Just
And then he steals
Pretty
the
cool.
cop car, and he goes back to the freezer so he could like finish his experiment.
but leaves the sirens on.
Yeah, he leaves the sirens running when he gets there, because he just like is super quick to run in.
Has to confirm with the Marine dude. He's like, motherfucker, is this a Full Metal Jacket? And he's like, oh, please don't, man. Come on.
Also, the Marine guy is I forgot what his name is, but he's the new guy from 24. I forgot what his name is. Not the original 24 dude, but the one who took over for like a season. Yeah, it's that dude.
I don't recognize him at all.
Yeah.
I guess we should also say in his freezer where Jack like keeps all the bodies and where he's doing the experiment at, there's like this door in there that he hasn't
That he couldn't
unlocked.
open, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't talked about
that
this
he
yet.
hasn't opened, and then they get there and he's like trying to do the experiment, and he realizes like the gun's too close for the scope to focus on their heads, so he has to back up, and to do that he has to open the door.
He finds a pry bar.
Yeah. Well, he finds just like a piece of metal tubing that he puts around the handle,
Yeah.
and then uses it to open it. Then he opens it and goes in there. It's just like another empty room for a freezer.
And, Verge is hanging out in there.
Yeah. So he's about to do it, gets the gun right there, and gets the scope aimed in, and fucking Verge
Also, the
appears
cops
behind
show
him.
up right then, too. Like, they find the other cop car.
But that's only after Verge had told him, hey, man, what about your house?
Well, no, that's right before. Because it's happening while...
It's
that's
happening as he's
Yeah.
building his house.
Yeah.
So
when
I
the
guess it's
cops show up.
happening as... Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
Verge is in there, and he's telling Jack about it. He's just like, I just have like one question for you. Weren't you building a house? And he's just like, well, yeah, I tried.
Couldn't find the perfect materials.
And he's just like, well,
Come
you
on,
can still...
Jack.
Just
think.
like Minecraft.
He's like, you
Think,
can still
Jack.
build your house, Jack. And he's like, just think.
What do you want to build your house out of the most? And he's like, oh, fuck,
Oh my
brain
god, I have a
blast.
bunch of fucking bodies in this freezer, so he just like constructs a house real quick.
Just like Minecraft.
It's the name of the movie, The House That Jack Built.
Yeah.
He uses his art to build his house, and his material is the bodies.
Yeah. Just like Minecraft.
So yeah, he builds that house out of fucking bodies, and it looks dope. It still probably cost you $500,000 in today's market.
True. And then the cops start blowtorching through the door, and you see, like, Verge is like, hey, man, come follow me.
Yeah, and he goes
And
like
you
into
see
that
down
a
a
house.
cop,
hole.
like, shoot the gun, like, a couple times, and it blasts one of the like, dead bodies in the head.
And so, like,
And he jumps down the hole with Verge.
yeah,
Inside
Verge
the
goes
body
into a hole.
house.
And
Which I think is insinuating that, Jack died right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's
Definitely.
dead or not.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
I think
Because
so, too.
That whole, like, spiel after, I believe, is them going through the River of Styx.
Yeah, and he's talking about humans for thousands of years have tried to
Yeah.
localize hell.
Well, anyway, so Jack follows Verge into this hole that's inside, like, that house that he built out of bodies.
Yeah.
And he goes in there, and Verge is basically, he guides him through hell. And I guess I should say, like, this is the reason why he's called Verge. Like, they use Dante's Inferno very much as, like, I guess, a way to tell the ending of the
Yeah, man.
movie.
It's
Or
a pretty good video game.
it's not a video game.
Oh, no, it definitely is a video game.
But it's also
It is a
based
video game,
off
but it
of-
was originally part of a story called The Divine Comedy,
Nah, man,
written
it's
by
definitely
Dante
a video game.
Alighieri. But anyway, but that's why he's called Verge, because Verge in Dante's Inferno is a guy named Virgil, and he leads Dante Alighieri through hell.
Yeah.
And it's Dante Alighieri telling his experience of who the people he sees in hell and their sins and why they're there and whatnot. I think the reason they use that, at least what I said, is that Dante Alighieri is kind of like Jack in the movie, at least how he is in Dante's Inferno, because like Dante Alighieri kind of imposes his own moralistic views on the people that are in hell and why they're in hell. Like, I remember one part of it is like people on some layer of hell, they're there because they're gay
Yeah.
or they're homosexual, which in Dante Alighieri's mind is a sin, which is
Yeah.
why they're there. But yeah, Jack's kind of like that way. He's pretty egotistical. He's imposing his views upon others. So maybe that's why they use it. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe I just sound stupid.
I mean, it definitely was Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Verge is leading him through hell, pretty much.
yeah, so like when they hop down the hole, it's just like an underground cavern with water flowing through it, which I think is supposed to be like the River of Styx, and Verge is like Death or the Reaper just guiding him through until they meet to the gates.
Well, then they get to this part where they're like swimming through the ocean. It's weird. It's like a scene.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's like when you're approaching the gates of hell.
Yeah.
Is that you start to go through like the land of suffering, which
And there's like this ticking and this like high-pitched noise the whole time. And Verge explains that it's the millions upon millions of souls screaming in hell.
Yeah.
That's
that's
creating
kind of
it.
the noise it ends up making.
Yeah. Pretty
And then
wild.
They end up getting to like this room that is just like a big empty hole that has a bridge, but the bridge is broken.
Oh man, we
Middle.
didn't even get to the Elysian Fields yet, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there is a scene where
It
well, you can
actually
explain
makes
it.
him cry for the first time in the movie, where he just sees the people in his village using the scythes to mow the meadows in unison, and they're just doing it in this eternal field, and he's just like looking at it, and he's like, I don't have access to this part of hell, and he's like crying. And
It's like
fucking
heaven
sad.
for Jack, and Verge explains that they can't go there because they can't access it, and it's supposed to like I guess show that that's Jack's heaven pretty much, but he can't get there
Yeah.
because of his actions.
Which is a part of the suffering that
Yeah,
includes in hell.
you can only look at it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I liked that part a lot.
But then they get to the
Then
scene
they get to the bridge.
where Logan was talking about. They get to this like bridge, and on the other side of it, there's this door, and around the bridge, there's this hole that goes down with this like lava that's at like this lava waterfall that's going down. it.
A lava
And
fall. I've
Verge
seen it before
explains
in
that down
Minecraft.
there is the lowest point in hell, and you can like hear like all the high pitched noise and everything. It's like the
All
loudest.
the screams down there.
But that's not where they're going either, because Verge just wanted him to show him all of
Yeah.
hell because that's what Jack asked for.
Yeah,
So they were going somewhere else.
Verge explains that he did it because Jack entertained him pretty much.
Yeah.
And so he did it for him because he gave him entertainment. I don't think Verge has any morals at all. I think he just likes the entertainment that he gets from the people he guides through hell. But
During the
he's just
narration,
there
though,
to
I disagree. Like,
well, I
when
guess he
he's
does because they
narrating-
disagree on the art aspect. But I don't know.
But I think it's more of just like a conversation than like, hey, this man's a good guy because he thinks that art should be done with love.
Well, Virgil in Dante's Inferno is an angel that's sent by God to guide Dante through hell.
So maybe he was an angel because he's dressed up like a father.
He's got a black suit on, shit.
He's got the handkerchief thing.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
has
I
a
think
name,
he's
but-
like, a messenger kind of thing. He's like, the Grim Reaper. He's like neither an angel nor a demon. He's just more of like
No, I think he's just
there
a,
with his own morals.
he's just a guide.
I think he's a guide maybe sent by God or somebody. I don't know.
He's on the
He
bridge.
could just be the guide who guides you to heaven or hell.
But anyway, on the other side of
just
this
his job.
bridge, the other side of this bridge, there's like a door with the staircase that you can see going up. And Jack asks Verge, he's like, "Well, where does that go?" And he's like, "It leads up to heaven, pretty much." He doesn't say that. Forgot what he says.
It
It leads
back up.
out of hell.
Yeah, he says it
Back
leads
up,
out of
up.
hell back up. I don't know if that implies it's heaven. I assume it does. But
I don't know. It just leads out of hell.
and he's like, "Well, why isn't there a bridge here?" And Verge is just like, "I don't know why. That was before my time."
He's like, I heard there used to be, but I don't know how it got broken.
Yeah, because the bridge that was there is now broken.
Yeah.
Logan pointed out that you could probably just jump across it because it doesn't
Yeah.
look like it's that far of a gap. But
It looked like it was like 5 feet. If I know one thing about jumping, man, I can jump further than 5 feet.
If you're like athletic, maybe you can get to heaven. Maybe that's how you get to heaven. Is you have to be really athletic.
Okay, so like,
So you're kind of screwed if you're old.
Commit the deepest of sins and then just high jump across the gap. That's how you.
but it's like it's not even that hard jumping 5 feet. You get a good running start, man. You just leap and use your body. You'll land on the other side
Well,
as
maybe-
long as you're over like 3 feet tall.
Maybe he still took the shady way around because he just wasn't. He's not capable of thinking like that.
He's like, you know what? I'm gonna take this obstacle and I'm gonna turn it even to more an obstacle.
He asked Verge. He's like, "Hey, has anyone tried to climb around?" He's like, "They have, but no one's made it successfully."
Yeah.
And then gives like the okay sign.
It's like what Logan was saying. Verge didn't want him to try to make it around.
Yeah.
Verge wanted to lead him back out. He just wanted to show him through hell.
I feel like
But
he
he
did
wasn't
want
going
to
to sit
tempt
there
him,
and
though.
impress him. Like,
Yeah, he's like, it's entirely your choice if you want to, though.
yeah.
I think he wanted to tempt him though. He's like, hey man, I just want to see how big of a fucking.
I think it was his fate.
goofball you are.
I think it was his fate to try it at the end of the day, 'cause whether he's dead or not. I mean, there's nowhere for him to go back, right? Because if he goes back to on Earth, like he's just gonna go to prison now, or he's gonna get executed. He's gonna go to hell anyway.
Yeah.
I think what that was
But I
trying
think-
to show is that okay, you committed all these sins, you killed a bunch of people, but if you can make the way around the gap, jump the gap, whatever, you can make it to heaven, even
Yeah, I
if
do
you've
think
done all
it's-
these bad things. And he's like, well, man, I just want to see it all.
I think it either leads to purgatory or heaven because I'm under the assumption that Jack is dead
Yeah.
because this is
Or-
his travel through the
But I
underworld.
do think Jack truly thought he should go to heaven, because when they show that scene where he's looking through that window where Verge shows him, he's like, that's the fields of whatever,
Elysium.
Elysium, where he sees that good memory he has of those men with their
Mhm.
hose. I think that made him cry because now he's having actual like emotion.
Yeah, he's
He
like,
sees what good life can give to him.
Mm-hmm. Now he wants all the good, but he's already had the bad too. It's like, hey man, you gotta make up your mind.
But anyway, yeah, he tries to
That's
climb
good.
around, doesn't, and then he falls down to the lowest point of hell, and the movie ends.
Yeah, I do think that gunshot that was shown before he hops down the hole is the shot that killed him. And then that's
Yeah,
what
and
led
he's
him
having
into
like a
the hole.
DMT trip that whole time.
I don't know, man.
It could be a DMT trip or not, because who the fuck has a hole cut in the floor that leads through like a cave system? So I just assume he's dead.
I think that whole scene was just used to show like the purpose of Dante's Inferno and how it related to Jack's life.
Yeah. But then he falls into the hole and goes to forever hell, and
He's at the lowest point of hell now.
yeah, because of his greed.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot what it is too.
Yeah.
Is that he's been greedy this whole time, trying to get his art to perfection. But
That's true. That's a good point.
then his greed ended up getting him at the end, which led him to the hell of all hells.
What do you think, Liz?
I think all of this is spot on.
It's just a thinker of a movie, you know.
It's like
Hey.
it's
I really enjoyed this movie, though.
How many hand jacks to the face would you give it?
That's a good one.
How many?
I would honestly, I really
Out of
love
10?
this movie. I'd probably give it.
How many smashed Uma Thurman faces would you give this?
How many booby
Out of
wallets
how
would you
many?
give this?
Oh,
Boob.
9 booby.
boob skin wallets?
Boob wallets? Oh, dude. I'd give it a 7 out of 10 boob wallets. It's a good movie.
I'd give it 8.5 massacred families.
Oh,
Oh
out
yeah,
of 10?
Yeah.
Nice.
8.9.
Maybe even a 9. I don't know. This is a really good movie. It was actually better the second time than the first time I watched it, to be honest.
Dude, I've seen it like 7 times now. It gets better every time I watch it.
I'd give it a 10
It's
out
like-
of 10 for its like for what it is, you know. But
Yeah.
I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10 for like me personally.
It's about to end.
Wanting to watch it again.
Well, anyway, sorry about that. Technical issues. But continue on, Liz.
I'll give it a 7.5. Boobies slapped onto the windshield.
Oh yeah.
7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, as far as like if like me wanting to watch it again, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a great fucking movie. 10 out of 10 for its own style.
Yeah.
It's definitely an artistic movie for sure.
Also, so we watched it on Tubi.
Oh, Trevor hasn't given his yet, have you?
Oh, did you?
Well, I gave it 8.9.
8.9.
8.9. Yeah, I gave it like 8.5 or a 9.
I think it's like the fear and loathing of horror movies. It's just you can fucking watch it and find new shit about it that you didn't hear before, or find something that you appreciate about the movie that you didn't see before. But it is 2 hours and 30 minutes, so it's not one that you want to watch every month.
Yeah, it's a pretty long fucking movie.
It is a good movie though.
What's your final rating, Logan? What'd you say?
Oh, I said 7 out of 10. We'll give it a cut off duckling foots.
Oh, God. I will say this is like, if you're disturbed by like graphic depictions and scenes and things like that, there's a lot of it.
Yeah, they don't shy away from.
It's a really
lot of it.
disturbing movie in that sense. It shows like dead children. It shows like scenes of like
genocide.
I guess like sexual abuse and manipulation. It's
the only scene that it didn't really show of is like the kids actually getting hit by the bullets.
You see it from a distance, I feel like.
Well, it cuts off right before the kids get shot.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like when he runs over that old lady, you feel it.
Yeah.
Because like when you're in parking lots and stuff, and you're driving around, and you're like, oh man, fucking 100 points. Like, man, we've all been there.
And also,
but he actually fucking got those 100 points. He did it.
That was good.
It shows
he got sent straight to the lowest level of hell.
It shows like the force when he stabs that second lady. Like when he just
yeah.
It shows it like from a good angle instead of like showing it to where it like kind of hides the knife a little bit so that you could kind of maneuver around it in like production wise.
Yeah.
But no, like they went straight full on with the bad stuff.
Also, so the director of the movie, I don't really know a whole lot about Lars von Trier, but
Lars von Trier.
I do know a lot of people say like a lot of his other movies are like disturbing in that sense. So maybe we will watch some more of them.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure though. It depends on what everybody else wants to do. But yeah, we watched it on Tubi. It's also I think on Amazon Prime if you want to rent it.
But you have to subscribe to IFC.
Yeah.
To watch it.
Was on Hulu a bit ago.
It's also on YouTube TV.
Yes.
I believe so.
This, it's a massive epilogue about the struggles and journeys of Minecraft and Dark Souls.
Yeah, this whole movie is just using Minecraft as subtext.
And Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Because you got like the
Miyazaki
lava stuff.
directed this movie.
Oh, real quick before we wrap it up, I did have one more thought about the movie that I thought was cool. When he's talking about the density of his shadow underneath the street lights.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like talking about how as he moves away from the first post, he feels like
the pain.
The pain and set in and the pleasure starts subsiding, and then he no longer feels any pleasure, and his pain.
Oh no, it's the other way. He's saying that his pleasure is the greatest when his shadow is the light's directly on top of him.
Well, that's what he says at first, but then he also says that his pain is at the greatest when the shadow's right above him.
No. So he says
that's why he has to enact the cycle again. Is when he gets to the pain pleasure curve, he's like, okay, I feel no more pleasure anymore. I gotta act out.
And then he's the pain that's chasing him this time.
Yeah, he says the pain. He says the pain is at the greatest midway point because he says the pain and the pleasure are both at the same amount.
Yeah,
and so he feels the pain at the greatest at the midway point when he's directly under it, under the light, and the shadow's at its densest right under him. Even though it's the smallest, he says it's when it's the most pleasure. Yeah. And as he moves away from it, the pain becomes greater and the pleasure starts subsiding.
I got that mixed up, but that was. I thought how he has little animations to convey his thoughts when he's narrating some scenes with Verge. I thought it was cool as fuck. Probably the best put together movie in that way. Like just psychological impact. It makes you think outside the box.
It's a great movie.
Like Jack is a fucking artist. Can we agree on that? He's not a good person, but he is an artist.
I don't know.
Depends on your definition of art. I don't think
thought-
Verge would call him an artist.
I think Verge is wrong.
I like his art. I thought it would be cool to have a poster or two of some of his pieces of artworks in my house. For real.
Of Jack's art?
Yeah.
Just dead bodies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the house that he
I
built out
can't
of bodies.
comment on this.
Yeah, just keep a picture of his house inside your house.
Yeah. Or the family and the crows laid out in the field.
Yeah, no comments on that one either.
Why?
No comments.
Why are you being so ominous?
Yeah.
No comments.
Okay.
Just say you're done. If you're
Just
done.
don't take a look at my Minecraft server.
Oh, God.
What does that even mean?
No comment.
Okay, dude.
This man built the house that Jack built in Minecraft. Because it's the house that Steve built.
I mean, I want to say that. Not at Minecraft.
Oh, he did it in real life. Maybe Logan's a serial killer.
No comment.
What do you
that's it.
do when you go in your closet at night? Is there a hole down there?
No comment.
Dude, he knows Verge.
Yeah, Verge is a good man.
Okay.
Dude, I am Verge. I have like
Nah.
deep arguments with Logan every day. I'm just like, hey man, you can't go around killing people. And he's like, man, but it's art.
No comment.
You don't win arguments by saying no comment, though.
You're just like
No,
offering guilt.
these aren't arguments, man. They're discussions. We're just having a good conversation
Well,
about
anyway,
morals. And
we should end
stuff
this.
like that. No comment.
Everything is classified.
I may or may not be a serial killer. You never know.
Bye.
I guess time will see.